but took out the competition, took out the baddies.
Exactly.
So to speak. It's all relative.
Yeah. You know.
You remember a few years ago, they were running ads on TV trying to tie weed to terrorism. Where it was, oh, yeah, he thinks he's just buying a dime bag, but that money goes to him. It goes to the cartels. And that money is filtered through weapon sales, the Taliban. Don't do drugs. And I was thinking, where do you get don't do drugs coming out of that? I think the key is know your dealer. That's the lesson I always got from those ads.
Know your dealer. I like that. Lessons learned. Lessons learned. Well, my dealer comes from Rose City. What do they call it? I think it's called Rose, R-O-Z-E, Pasadena. I got to give them a shout. They got great product. I'm actually rolling up a joint as my after show Saturday afternoon joint as I
well-deserved treat.
As I wind up this, our sixth episode of The Gray Zone. I'm going to dedicate this show to my old pal Rick the Rat Doremus. R.I.P. Rick. You can read that whole story on my website, www.hollywoodinterrupted.com. And also on YouTube. He actually appeared live on her show. It was called Crime Time. You can still find the back episodes on YouTube. Allison Hope Weiner, we had him on as a guest, and he was fantastic. I like to look at that from time to time to remember Rick the Rat, my old pal. So, congratulations, guys. This is our sixth episode. We are rounding out our first season of The Gray Zone as presented by Mr. Carl Kozlowski. You want to say anything about that, Carl?
Hey, man, all I got to say is that I fell in love with Spy Magazine and your work. Back when I was in college, it was a key part of why I wanted to be in journalism, so it's an honor to get to know you all these years later and have you doing this. So, thanks.
Well, thank you. You can go on. I'll just,
keep all that joy there.
For God's sakes, I'll just, if you're going to talk like that, I'll just, I'll toss one off while you're talking. I mean, for God's sakes.
That's okay. No, thank you.
6 episodes in a movie.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I once pissed off the entire recovery, speaking of drugs, the entire recovery community here in Los Angeles. I don't want to give away too much about and talk too much shit about AA, but they have this step. It's called Step 5, and that's the confessional step where you purge yourself of all the bad things you did in your life. And a buddy of mine, Eric Fagan, was sponsoring this young guy. And we were driving to some bonfire at the beach, some AA-sponsored activity. I get not sponsored, but some activity with a lot of people in recovery. And Eric gets the bright idea to knock out this poor kid's fifth step, his confessional, in the car while I'm sitting in the back seat. And he gets to his sex inventory, talking about, his sex life. So I whipped it out and started jerking off in the back seat. I mean, I was like, "Oh, for God's sakes, this is a good story." Jesus, I hope that kid stayed sober. I don't know.
I was going to say, is this part of your fifth step, Mark?
In many ways,
wow.
In many ways, it is. So anyway,
it is widely believed that reportage is a fairly masturbatory field, but
yeah,
going literal.
Yeah, Get it while you can. Get some. Okay, so we're dedicating this show to Rick the Rat Doremus. And I got to remind you folks, every sawbuck you send goes right back into the production and further development of this show. PayPal, Venmo, Patreon. Break me off a piece of lettuce. Or just tell a friend. So anyway, that wraps episode 6 of season 1 in the Gray Zone. One and done, Carl Kozlowski. Let's give ourselves a hand, right?
All right.
I think I'm gonna let these first 6 episodes ripen on the vine. I'm gonna take next week off. I'm gonna regroup, and we're gonna start season 2. It's gonna be bigger and better than ever.
Awesome.
So join us, won't you? In the Gray Zone.
Somebody once left me, but God made it hypnotized.